Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode from Elvis the Ultimate Fan Channel. I was watching Girls, Girls, Girls this afternoon on a UK satellite channel called Talking Pictures. And I must admit, I like Girls, Girls, Girls. It's not one of the really sticky ones like Harem Scarum or Paradise Hawaiian style. So yeah, it was good. It's also a big anniversary for Elvis as well. It's the 65th anniversary of. Would anybody like to tell me why it's a big anniversary today? 65 years ago today, something monumentous happened. Hi, Freddie. Good afternoon. Something monumentous happened in the Elvis world. Hi, Ludane. How are you doing? While I wait for somebody to give me the answer, I'm going to tell you that I have three very special guests today. They're the youth of our fan base, Elvis's fan base. There is Matt Stone, Mary Patricia, and we're all familiar with Jake Bailiff because Jake's been on this show before. And we're going to just talk about how they became Elvis fans, even though they're so young, and what we can do to maybe turn on younger fans to Elvis. Okay, yeah, Freddie says he recorded Heartbreak Hotel, which is quite correct. January the 10th, 1956, at the RCA studios. He started actually with I Got a Woman, and after that, after he warmed up with that, he recorded Heartbreak Hotel. And who could have even believed when he recorded that record? Probably even himself couldn't believe just how monumentally successful and how it would just skyrocket him, his career after he recorded that. So there you go, 65 years ago today. He's probably, as we speak, 65 years ago now, he was probably recording it as we speak. Hi, Danny. Hi, Jan M. How is everybody? Yeah, Danny, that's right. He recorded Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah. Stephen Pedersen. Hello, Steve. Good afternoon from Fort Worth, Texas. Yeah. There's Doug. There's Jill. That's all right. No, it was that's all right was a little bit earlier than that. Right. So without further ado, I am going to put my headphones on and we're going to bring our special guests in one by one. So first of all, we're going to say hi to Matt Stone. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good. How are you, Steve?
Great. Then there is Mary Patricia. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
And finally, my buddy, Jake. How's Jake? Jake has actually forgot to unmute his microphone, which is exactly what I did when I was talking to him 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So I actually don't feel too bad now that I forgot to unmute my microphone. I really don't. So looking at the screen here now, I feel positively ancient. Set aside these young people. But it does make my heart glad when I see three young fans like this. And we're going to start with you, Mary. Ladies first, okay? If you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got on to liking Elvis and so forth. So take the stage, young lady.
Okay. So I can't even remember a time where I got into Elvis because I was kind of raised in a house where Elvis was constantly being played and his movies were being played because my mom loves him so much. So I was kind of raised in an Elvis house and grew up going to Graceland for family vacations every summer. And last year, I guess, it was the year that I kind of really got into him, more learning about his personal life and more of just his career. I wanted to learn, more about him. And so I started my Instagram account, and from there, I learned so much in the past year and had a lot of great opportunities as well. And so it's truly like my passion and my own little corner of the world where I feel like I fit in. So.
And I've just noticed actually that you have is it a TCB?
Yes. TCB necklace.
Very, very good. Very good. And do you get from people your same age saying, "Really, you like Elvis?"
Oh, all the time. And when I started my Instagram, I really expected it to be like older people. And I didn't expect to like, have a following really, because I was like, nobody my age, and nobody likes him. That's my age. But most of the people that I interact with are younger people. And it is so refreshing to be able to interact with people my own age, because it's really rare. Like, at least where I live, like, I don't know anybody my age who likes him.
And do you ever get asked? People always say to me as well, "Oh, do you think Elvis is still alive?" And I say, "What?
Yeah.
Go away from me."
Yeah, literally, I don't, not at all. Like, people, it's the conspiracy. People like to grab onto that kind of stuff, but I don't buy it. No.
Yeah, and I always find as well, a lot of people fixate on his last few years when he wasn't well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And yet that was only, as we know, that was only a small part of his life, but they always seem to fixate on that for some reason, which is kind of sad.
It's really sad. The amount of stuff that I have learned that people, especially in my bracket generation, kind of fixate on, there's so much more to Elvis than what people think they know. And so that's like my goal, is to spread the truth and like why he was so great and why so many people still love him all these years after he died, because people really do only latch on to like, oh, he was like really fat and he just ate a lot. And it's really sad, because there's so much more to him that people should know.
I agree. And we could dive deeper into it and say about his health problems and things like that. And people always say about, oh, he's fat, but actually we know that truly he wasn't that much overweight. It was more bloating from ill health.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
I know one of the things I always say is he didn't have the appearance of somebody that had weight issues, because his limbs weren't, overweight. His legs weren't fat. It was just his stomach from the bloating and his health issues. But anyway, let's get off that, because I don't really like it when people start talking about things like that, because it's just it's so narrow-minded. It's so narrow-minded.
Yeah.
So is it just the Instagram you do, Mary, or are you thinking of doing other things as well? Are you thinking of doing a YouTube channel or anything like that? You could set up in competition with me. I wouldn't mind.
No. I actually do have a YouTube channel. I started it this past summer in July. So I have an Instagram and a YouTube, and I recently started a podcast with my friend Maggie, who's also on Instagram, but she lives over in the UK and I'm in the US. So it's kind of a long distance podcast moment, but those are the 3 platforms that I have right now.
Okay. I'm originally from the UK. Actually, I live in Ireland now, but which part of the UK is she in?
She's from Birmingham.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll come back to you a little bit later. I'm going to ask Matt now to come in, and he can tell us a little about himself and how he got into Elvis and so forth. Okay, Matt, take it away.
Okay. So it's actually a pretty cool story, because when you first asked me to be on the show, you told me that it was really going to be about trying to bring the younger generation into Elvis.
Yes.
So I thought it really cool, because Elvis is he's almost become such a pop culture icon that you can't look anywhere. You can't watch any television show without actually seeing Elvis's name or some kind of reference somewhere, anywhere, whether it be an Elvis lamp in the corner or anything. And I actually got started because of a TV show, and that TV show was Full House. And John Stamos, as we know, is a huge Elvis fan. And on the show, Full House, his character was named Jesse, after Jesse Garon Presley. And he played a huge Elvis fan. And he sang the song Jailhouse Rock as his first dance as husband and wife at his wedding. So I grew up watching that show. And then just one day, after watching that, I just decided, hey, I'm going to look up the original version, see, what he was doing, how he changed it, how he, messed around with it and did it his own way. Because I was always into music. I was a huge Led Zeppelin fan. I've been playing guitar since forever, since I was like 5 years old. And I looked up Elvis's version of Jailhouse Rock on YouTube, and I remember where I was. I was in my grandmother's bedroom, and I had my little iPod Touch up there, and I just watched him, and he's on the pole doing all that stuff, and
yeah,
I was just like, man, that's so cool. So that night I watched Hound Dog from the Milton Berle show. I guess I'd seen clips of that before from Forrest Gump, and little things like that. And for a while, I was just strictly focused on those rock and roll 50s songs, and I didn't want to hear anything slow. I wasn't a slow music kind of guy. And the love for Elvis just kind of fizzled a little bit because I had such a narrow mindset on what I wanted to listen to. And it was like Hound Dog, Jailhouse Rock, Hard-Headed Woman, that's it. And then one day, I didn't look at Vegas stuff at all because, like most people, I thought that Vegas, oh, that's Fat Elvis. That's
yeah.
Whatever. You hear that. And
We
then,
now know differently because when he first started in Vegas, he was kind of super slim,
Exactly.
super slim.
And I
Just a quick one. You weren't interested in the Sun recordings, no? Only from sort of 56 onwards, or
not really. Pretty much just 56, 57. And
right?
yeah, I really liked Jailhouse Rock, Hound Dog, like Hard-Headed Woman, and Dixieland Rock. I think that next to Jailhouse Rock, that was my favorite song. I don't know how I stumbled across that, but that was one of them. And then just one day on my YouTube recommended, up comes Suspicious Minds, August 12th, 1970. And I watched that and I was so blown away. It just expanded my whole mindset on what Elvis was. Because, you hear that he was, a fat drug addict in the 70s. And you see that and you go, wow, that's really not true. He was in the best shape of his life. He was thinner in 1970 than he was in 1956.
Without a doubt, yes. Yeah, I agree. And also, Suspicious Minds was sort of right at the very, very beginning of his comeback again, wasn't it? Just after the 1968 special, he was on the crest of a wave again. So
Right.
it was a great thing to pick up and stumble across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fantastic. And especially that August 12th performance is so good. It's probably one of the most energetic performances Elvis ever did.
Have you, out of all your Elvis songs, I'm going to ask Mary as well, this, and Jake as well. It's very, very difficult. A lot of people ask me this as well. Have you got a favorite Elvis song?
Yeah, it changes every day.
Yeah.
Know what I mean? Being an Elvis tribute artist, I have favorite songs to perform, and like songs like "Suspicious Minds" are always a go-to when you think about stuff like that. But every day, it changes. Sometimes I like a song for the song itself, and sometimes I like the song for what Elvis did with it in that moment of his life. So it goes from American Trilogy to right now it's Impossible Dream. And but I would say if I had to pick one that kind of just stays consistent, it was probably Let It Be Me.
Let It Be Me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, that comes and goes with my favorites.
Uh-huh.
I've got a soft spot for Kentucky Rain. But it all depends on what mood you're in. If you're in a mood for dancing around or something like that, then it's going to be Wear Your Ring Around My Neck. And then if you might be a little bit melancholy and you might listen to Long Black Limousine.
Mm-hmm.
I always get poked fun at because I always think it's such an underrated song, Long Black Limousine.
Oh,
I really do. Without a doubt, Long Black Limousine. And they never play it on mainstream radio. That's what I can't understand. You'll never hear anybody asking for it. It's always Don't Be Cruel, Jailhouse Rock, Heartbreak Hotel,
My soft spot melancholy song is The Sound of Your Cry.
Yeah. And on the Elvis Nashville box set that came out there a few weeks ago, there's an outtake, I think it's take one of Snowbird. And I've never really been that keen on Snowbird until I heard the first take with no dubs on it whatsoever. And it's amazing how all the girls' voices almost drown out Elvis's vocal parts. They're too loud. They're too far up in the mix.
Right.
And you can actually hear Elvis singing the whole song. You think, that's a great performance. It really is a great performance. But, yeah, I agree with you. It does change. And every time I think I've landed on a favorite record, the next day, hey, that's great. That's my favorite record.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Elvis is just so great, I think. Right, we're going to bring Jake in now. Jake, are you ready, buddy?
Yeah.
You can tell us about how you got into Elvis and so forth. We'll be going back round to Matt and Mary a little bit later as well. So take it away, buddy.
Well, actually, my grandpa was a huge Elvis fan. He saw Elvis twice in concert in 1973 and 1976. And a little fun fact, he was actually going to see him in November of 1970. And if you know that tour, that was like the best tour of 1970 besides That's the Way It Is. But my mom was born a month earlier, so he couldn't go. But he saw Elvis twice, and he was a huge fan, collected pretty much anything he could get his hands on. And when I was about 2 or 3 years old, he played Burning Love, and I just there's just something that like was about his voice that just like it was so. I mean, Burning Love for like a '70s song is pretty raw, so like I just felt the energy it gave off, and I guess I just became a fan, and then I just read books and stuff, and then kids would always call me the Elvis kid and stuff like that in school, and but and I just read and just soak it all in, and I guess I just became a fan, and then started collecting Elvis, and then I started dyeing my hair and stuff. So it's kind of how I just became a fan.
I always think when people laugh at you for liking Elvis, I always feel a bit sad for them because they don't know what they're missing.
We should laugh at them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, we should actually. I agree, we should. Yeah. So as we know, Jake, you have a YouTube channel. Matt, you have a YouTube channel as well. Mary, you have a YouTube channel. Well, and podcast, don't you?
Yeah.
So everybody check out their YouTube channels because they're really, really great. Now I was gonna ask something else, and it's gone completely out of my head, and I can't remember what it is, but it'll come back in a minute. See, that's old age for you people. That's old age for you. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, and I'll start with Mary again. I was going to say, if you could sum up what it is about Elvis, is it his looks? Is it his voice? Is it his personality? What do you think it was?
I think it's personality, just like the kind of human that he was while being a performer, and seeing like how much he cared and how deeply passionate he was about everything. Like, so smart and like, just so, I don't know, he's like so progressive in so many ways. He's so versatile, but his personality, like just the way he treated people and the pure kindness, and just seeing like how he was a human, and like how taking him off of that pedestal and that mold that people put him in, and just looking at him purely as just like this guy who had a dream and made it happen and built himself this life. It's just like fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, he came from such humble beginnings, didn't he? He was, as we know, he was dirt poor, but he never forgot where he came from. He never lost respect for people. He was always the ultimate gentleman, wasn't he? He was a very special human being. We know that from people that knew him. Matt, would you like to say what you think sort of epitomizes Elvis?
Right. I guess it's really a combination of everything. He had the whole package, which is what makes him so special. Some people have the voice, some people have the personality, some people have the looks, but Elvis had all three. But I think without the voice, the other two wouldn't matter as much. Know what I mean? So I think the voice is the biggest thing for me, because, and of course the performance charisma that he had, but just his performance package, I think, is what really does it for me. Just like, if I'm an Elvis tribute artist, of course, so in the Ultimate Elvis Tribute Artist contest, they're judging the voice counts for double everything else. So I think even EPE knows that the voice is really what's special about Elvis, because it was so versatile. 1960 Soldier Boy versus Moody Blue sound like two different people, and then added That's All Right Mama, it's a third person. So he had such versatility. That's what made him so special.
Yeah, I agree. Jake, what do you think?
Well, to me, I think it's just like everything he had combined into one. He had the looks, he had the style. I mean, and he was just all around a cool person, but he didn't let the coolness get to his head. He was still a humble, and like, here's an example. Like, when I go to Graceland, like, I look at the house, and it's a big house, but I'm thinking to myself, for Elvis, you'd think he'd have like 3 of these, you know what I mean? But he still kept it, because he was raised so humbly that he kind of carried that all throughout his life, and just the way he treated people was, just fantastic. And I think it's really just about how good of a person he was, and also just everything that also combines into that, which is his style, his singing, and also his song selection too, and band selection. He had his hand in that too. So he was like an artist, a composer, an actor, like all into one. So that's kind of.
We've spoken obviously about his records and so forth and everything. What about his films? Mary, I'll start with you again. What do you think about the way Elvis's career went in the 60s movie wise?
I think it's very misunderstood. People like to paint people as villains in that kind of situation, but I feel sad. Like, I feel really sorry for him because we all know he really did want that serious movie career. He wanted to be a good actor, and we saw that he had that ability. But unfortunately, like, his audience didn't want those more serious films. They wanted the, the mold, the cookie cutter where he met a girl and kissed the girl and sang songs to the girl and the girl. So it's really sad to know that, like, there wasn't a way out of that. But he had so much of this potential just locked away and never got to use it, I feel like.
Now, they weren't all bad. As I said earlier on, I was watching Girls, 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 which is one of the ones that I always rank as not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Flaming Star is a brilliant, I think, a brilliant movie. King Creole is always cited by so many people as his best movie. So, it wasn't all bad. But Matt, I'll come to you. How do you feel about the movies in the 60s movies?
I think that Elvis definitely had potential early on, but as time went on and he got more discouraged, I think he lost a lot of the talent that he once had. But some of the scripts did get better, evidently. My favorite movie is Change of Habit, and that's his last film.
Right.
And
yeah.
I just think that the storyline is so good because it got out of the cookie cutter role. But like, if you watch Charo, he finally got the serious film that he deserved, but the acting didn't come through. His acting wasn't the best, even though it was the serious movie that he always wanted. Even though they kind of cut out a lot of what would have made it more of a risky.
Yes, there was even supposed to be some nudity at the beginning, wasn't there? And they cut that out. Parker says, "No, we're not having that in an Elvis Presley movie."
And the nudity, they actually shot it. I put it on my old channel. I remember before my first channel got taken down for no reason. And so I just started. I think I uploaded it. So if you want to see it, you could actually see it on there. But they used a body double for Enaball, and it was nothing. It was ridiculous. But I think that in the 50s, like Jailhouse Rock, that was his character, the rebel, cool King Creole Jailhouse Rock style character. He got a little bit back to that in Roustabout, but as he got older, I think he lost that edge that he had, and the coolness was kind of taken away, and they tried to turn him into a more moral boy in movies like G.I. Blues and Blue Hawaii. And another character I think he played very well was kind of just like the country bumpkin, kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Not like stupid, just naive. And follow that dream. Follow that dream. He had the perfect character, and he played that character so well because it showed exactly that he was still, smart in things that mattered. Yet, when the girl would come around, he would just do his multiplication tables. So I think he played that character very well. He played the rebel very well. So I think his scripts really needed to evolve. But once he started getting into characters like his character in Spin Out, where he was just like the, I'm too cool to get married, I'm going to sing songs for the rest of my life. It was just like, really, come on, you're going to do another movie like that? He had a lot of characters that he could experiment with, yet they kept putting him in the same scenario over and over and over again.
Yeah. He was just a different character. He would be a speedboat driver, or they'd be, he would be a fisherman. He would, it was the same plot. He was just a different character, unfortunately. Right. Now, when you look at things like, King Creole, where he smashes the bottles and says, "Now you know what I do for an encore." And then in Jailhouse Rock, when he says, "That's not the what's the word?
That ain't tactics, honey.
That ain't tactics, honey. That's just the beast in me." You could see that kind of dangerous edge to Elvis, couldn't you? And it's just a pity that he kind of lost that, as it went on, because he really played that role very well, I thought. And he was very mean to Judy Tyler in Jailhouse Rock, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he had that potential, but as you say, he just lost it. Jake, what do you think about the movies?
Well, I think, in my opinion, what Elvis would have wanted to have done is do like 30 movies like King Creole and Jailhouse Rock, because there were more rebel roles. There's rebel roles, and then there's like a difference between rebel roles and serious roles. Like there's a difference between Jailhouse Rock and Charo. They're both serious roles, but he plays a completely different person. And I think his westerns are very underrated, like Flaming Star. Like I just watched that yesterday and I was like blown away because it's just it was so good. And then but I really wasn't that surprised. But then like Wild in the Country, another good western, but I gotta say, probably my favorite Elvis movie, at least of the '60s, is Live a Little, Love a Little, and it's
Wow.
because like the plot's out there, but like it's just so good. Like he's a photographer, he's sitting on the beach, and I just find it really entertaining. And that's crazy because it kind of went because like in 1967 there was Clambake, there was Double Trouble, and then there was Easy Come Easy Go. And Clambake's one of my other favorite films, and I just feel like a lot of people downplay the movies. And when people, like they say, "Oh, well, his movie songs weren't great," but probably his most biggest known song of all time came from a movie, which is "Can't Fall in Love" from Blue Hawaii. So I feel like a lot of people just downplay the movies because all they think of is like 1965, 66, 67. But there was so much better than that. But at the same time, it wasn't Elvis that was really for the roles. I don't think he really liked the roles, but there were some roles where I could tell he got into it more than other roles. Like in Harem Scarum, like I know he got really excited because he got to wear a turban, but he didn't really seem like he was that happy to be there. And then, but like if you compare it to like Change of Habit, it seems like he gets into the role more. So that's like I can tell sometimes whether Elvis likes the movie or not.
Yeah, I've said before, I've got a soft spot for Viva Las Vegas. It was probably one of the last really good movies. I mean, I know Matt has said that Change of Habit, and I agree. Actually, Change of Habit was a good one, but I do have a soft spot for Viva Las Vegas. I think it's the chemistry between him and Anne Margaret. I mean, it was so obvious, wasn't it, between him and Anne? And the "Come On Everybody" sequence is just great. So that's why I like Viva Las Vegas. Have you all been to Graceland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's obvious. I know Matt's been many times. Have you, Matt?
Yeah, I think 4 times. Maybe no,
4
5.
times.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you perform there on stage, don't you? I think.
Yeah, I've done it at the exhibition center at Elvis Week. I did.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. That was
Very,
fun.
very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. So where can we say? What could we say, Mary? What could we say? How would you think EPE should approach trying to cultivate new fans, young fans? What do you think they could do?
Well, I think they're doing a little bit of it now with kind of reinventing Graceland and the exhibits at least every so often with like now they have the interactive stuff down there, and just like I was there in 2019 and seeing the exhibit with like all of the people who were inspired by Elvis. I don't know exactly what the exact term of it was, but so if people walked into that and said like, "Oh, I love their music," and I didn't know they were inspired by Elvis, look at that, and that could lead into an Elvis rabbit hole. So I think they're doing some of it. They're getting I mean the complex now is new and improved, has a bunch of fun stuff in there. So.
And do you like what they've done over the last few years with the guest house and the complex opposite the mansion?
I have mixed feelings. I feel like they unfortunately, I don't know how to put it, but I feel like it's gotten to the point where a lot of people, I've heard them say like it's just so expensive, I can't afford to go anymore. And I've been coming since I've been little, and they're older people, and so it's disheartening to see that kind of aspect where it's getting to the point where people can't go, and it's more of like a resort now. I feel as back in the day, it was more of like a more intimate moment. But I guess they have to keep on the flip side updating it and adding new things and keeping it relevant in this sort of way.
Okay, Matt, have you anything to add to that?
Yeah, I adore Elvis Presley's Memphis. I think that the complex is fantastic. Out of the times I went to Graceland, I went once before they built it, and I think it was 2016. And it was kind of disappointing to go through the whole house and then find out that the only thing left to see was the racquetball room with like 4 jumpsuits inside. And now they have this huge mega complex with everything. You know, you open up drawers and you see fan letters, and I just adore that. I think that even if they have to charge more, now it's worth it to be
Yeah.
able to see that. Because before, I thought it was overpriced to see just like 4 jumpsuits and a couple records in the racquetball court. Now that you get to see everything, it's really fantastic. The one thing I don't like that they're doing is that they're trying to bring in, like, what's this Muhammad Ali exhibit? Like, come on,
Yeah.
you're wasting space. They have, I think I heard Angie Marchese say that they have 1.5 million archive pieces, and less than 10% of that is on display. Why are you not putting those on display? Why are you creating a Muhammad Ali exhibit? So I really dislike that. I think what they could be doing to bring more young people to Elvis is do something more like what they did with Lilo and Stitch. I was at a gig the other night on Elvis's birthday, and the woman who booked me was saying how much her nephew got into Elvis because of the movie Lilo and Stitch. And just like I would not be into Elvis if it hadn't been for Full House. So they need to bring more people they need to insert Elvis into more of pop culture, which they're doing a good job of doing, but I think it's dying out a little bit compared to what it was 10 years ago. And that will definitely expose more people to Elvis. I think that you can't push Elvis onto somebody. Elvis needs to just go in front of them, and Elvis will do the rest. You can't say, oh, Elvis was the coolest person in the world. Just put Elvis in front of them. They'll see that Elvis is the coolest person in the world. So that's what EP needs to be focusing on. Less of the Muhammad Ali exhibit. Like, do they have like a Jaws exhibit or something? I mean, what is this?
They had dinosaurs or something, I think it was.
It's ridiculous. What is this? So, I mean, like Angie Marchese did on the Gates of Graceland series, they do this inside the archives thing where they show like Elvis's neckerchiefs, Elvis's fedoras. I'm like, why don't you have a fedora exhibit or a scarf exhibit? Why do we need to see Muhammad Ali's punching gloves, but we can't see his fedoras, Elvis's fedoras?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, all right. Jake, what do you think?
Well, I personally think that I think Elvis Presley's Memphis is awesome. I think it's like the Disneyland for Elvis fans. But it's like cool because it's like going into like exploring his life. But when you think about it, in my opinion, I believe like they need to market Elvis more and put his music out there more. Obviously, they don't want to exploit his music and put it out there too much, but at the same time, like just like put his face like on the back of like a cereal box, and like if a kid's sitting there eating cereal, you know, a 4-year-old eating like pop cereal, they're gonna like. Because I had an example like peanut butter and banana flavored pop cereal. And see on the back, and it has a picture of Elvis. And those kids, you know, they like to get their crayons and stuff and write on the back of the box, find the little puzzle. And just like seeing that, somebody could say, oh, well, that guy looks really cool. And just that's an easier way to find Elvis. And I feel like if they started doing that more, it would push more people to like Elvis, which, you know, isn't a bad thing. It's, you know, it's very beneficial because like, you know, we're pretty young, but at the same time, there's a generation even before us. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, so we got to, you know, like try to put his music out there more and give people the exposure, because a lot of people aren't born into homes where people like their parents like Elvis. So they have to find Elvis, and they, you know, it makes it harder. But I feel like just, you know, like on the back of like a mouthwash bottle or just, you know, stuff like that. So.
A lot is going to hinge on this Baz Luhrmann biopic that's in the works at the moment. I'm going to go around you again, and I'm going to ask you what you are hoping it's going to be like, and what you think of the characters. Like, there's Austin Butler, isn't there? There's Tom Hanks. I mean, Tom Hanks is very, very high profile, so it's going to be a serious movie. It's not going to be one of those made for movies, you know, straight to video sort of things. So, Mary, what do you hope and what do you think is going to be the outcome of this biopic?
I hope that it will just remain true, I guess. Just like holding that sense of just showing it in the light that it really happened. I feel like it's easy to paint, like I said before, paint people as like a villain, or like this is like the downfall. And I hope that it's just like it's authentic, and it's just truthful. It doesn't fabricate anything or dramatize anything. I know that with any movie you're gonna get that, and you're gonna, because that's, you know, what makes people want to see it more. But as long as it's truthful, I'm kind of indifferent so far. Because I mean, a lot of people ask me like, what's your opinion on it? And I don't even have an opinion, just as long as it remains true. That's all I care about.
I'm going to give it a chance. There's some people who say, "Oh, if Priscilla is involved, I'm not going to go and see it," which I think is very narrow-minded. I think you should give it a chance. As you say, I hope it's truthful. I'm just wary of it because I saw, you know, the Freddie Mercury movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, and they kind of twisted the timeline to fit it for more dramatic effect. I mean, they had him finding out that he was HIV positive just before Live Aid, when in truth he didn't know about it until a few years after Live Aid. But it wouldn't have made the movie so sort of, you know, dramatic if they'd done that. So they moved it slightly. And I hope they don't do that with Elvis. I hope they just keep the timeline true.
Yes. And another thing is I work, and I know a lot of people message me and say, like, do you think people are going to hate on Elvis or like cancel Elvis now once they see, you know, these some situations that played out? And I hope people just keep in mind that, you know, it was different back then, and you cannot compare like past standards to modern day standards, because I feel like that could get our generation in trouble if they see like, oh my gosh, Elvis was dating Priscilla when she was 14, and then they would be like, I'm over it. I'm over Elvis. I don't want to see this. This is gross. So I hope that they paint that in like not a dramatized way, where it's like, this is how it was back then. This is why it happened, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Tom Hanks and his wife had dinner with Priscilla, and Tom said he was expecting to hear Priscilla say that Parker was a crook and he screwed Elvis and all this and all that. She said he was great to us. Yeah, so I think he was surprised for that. Matt, what do you think about this new biopic that's coming out soon? Hopefully soon.
I think you guys hit the nail right on the head. What I was going to say, you guys said about Bohemian Rhapsody. I think what Bohemian Rhapsody did for Queen is going to happen for Elvis. But I really hope that they don't mess with the storyline, because, you know, the Queen storyline needed a little bit of embellishing to make a good movie. The Elvis storyline doesn't. His story is already crazy enough. It already has enough to be told. And my favorite Elvis biopic is the one that they made in 2005 with Randy Quaid and John Rhys Meyers. And it is by far the greatest one I've ever seen, because it's incredibly authentic. It's like, if you read Last Train to Memphis and Careless Love, the exact transcript of what is written inside the book is the script of the movie. Like, when you watch the scene in the movie of Elvis meeting Priscilla, the exact lines that the actors say is precisely what Priscilla said was said, which is what I love about that movie, is that it's so incredibly authentic. Did they omit some things to cut the time? It's already 3 hours long. Yes. But hopefully they stay true to the true story in this new movie, which is something I'm a little bit concerned about, because Hollywood doesn't like to do that very often.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
But if they stay true to the real story, I think you can't go wrong. And if you try to embellish it, and they're going to try to paint Elvis as a bad guy at some points. They have to try to make him more risky. They have to try to make the story interesting, especially if they try to make Colonel Parker out to be the greatest guy in the world. I'm not a Colonel Parker hater. I think he was a brilliant manager. He exploited Elvis towards the end, but I do like the guy, what he did, at least in the 50s. And especially after Tom Hanks said that Priscilla told him Colonel Parker was a wonderful man. Where's the villain of the movie? Where's the antagonist? Is it
Yeah. Well, he did say that he was a scoundrel as well, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he said on the Late Late Show, he said he was a genius, but he was also a scoundrel. So, as you say, I hope they don't make him out to be absolutely perfect. I hope they highlight the mistakes he made as well. And he did make mistakes with Elvis. He did make mistakes with Elvis. We all know that. I think the
title's going to be Big Boss Man. That's my prediction.
All right, because I mean, they'll have to get Elvis's name in there somewhere, so it might be Elvis Big Boss Man, you think, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Jake, what do you think?
Well, to be honest, Steve, I think they just need to stay true to the story of Elvis and just keep it real. But here's the thing: is the movie will do well and will help us Elvis fans if they're making the movie because they want more people attracted to Elvis, or if they're making the movie to exploit Elvis and that's their main idea, then it's going to be a bad movie. But I just hope that, they show how good of a person Elvis was and talk about everything that he did right, because the right outweighs the wrong he did. So, and it just comes down to the point where if they make it about Colonel Parker, it's just going to be boring. But, the thing is people give Elvis a lot of flack for Priscilla, and I don't really want to go down this road. But at the same time, if you think about it, back in even 1967, 60s, I mean, people like women were getting married like at 15. So, yeah, he married his cousin too. I mean, that's even worse. So, but and the legal age now for somebody to get married is 18. Elvis waited till she was 21. I mean, that's even past today's standards. So, I mean, I don't see why he gets that so much flack for it. And I just hope that they just show what Elvis did right instead of trying to make him look like a bad person, because like I've seen that before, because like they take like something that Elvis did that was, normal, and they just spin it out of control and make it into this big story. And I hope it's a good movie, because it's like why would you make a movie just to make up stuff about somebody? So I hope it's good. But
yeah, the main plot of it is supposed to be the relationship between Elvis and Colonel. That's what they're focusing on, I believe. So I think, I don't think they're going to mention too much about him being an illegal immigrant, coming in from Holland. They might. I don't know. I mean, has that got anything to do with the relationship he had with Elvis? Some people would say yes, because it was one of the main reasons why he couldn't tour outside of the US, was because of Parker. So it'll be very interesting to see how much they focus on that. It'll be interesting to see how they focus on the last few years. Again, I hope they don't. I hope they treat it with dignity. I hope they don't try and make Elvis out to be a laughingstock the last couple of years of his life.
Yeah, and this brings up another point. Sorry if I interrupted anybody, but the movie Elvis and Me, it was like based on the book. But I watched like a few clips of that the other day, and I was like, this is not even what happened. Like it portrayed Elvis to be like this guy that liked to hit women and then like was with another woman at the same time. It's like Elvis did not do that. And if you actually read the book Elvis and Me, you'll realize that Elvis was not only a great father, but a great husband. But these movies, they portray him, and it's Hollywood. They're going to do that. I mean, because I know like in 1977 when Elvis died, they took pictures of Elvis and they made him look different than what he was and made him look worse, and he looked fine. But the problem is it's like I can't get through my mind why somebody would want to do that, especially do it, a great person like Elvis,
I spoke to somebody today for an interview for my YouTube channel and podcast, which is going to be, I've got post-production to do on it, but it'll be on the YouTube channel next week. And he said that the media always, try and sensationalize things, and they don't care who they hurt. And I said to this person, well, they build you up to knock you down, and they still do it to this day, unfortunately. That is the media, because that's what sells papers.
I don't think in the movie they're going to do Elvis's whole life. Sorry if I'm interrupting. But I think what they did in the 2005 movie was they cut it off at the 68 comeback special. Personally, I'd like to see it go to like Madison Square Garden, maybe Aloha, because the 70s was such a great time for Elvis. They just cut it off at 68. But knowing Priscilla, Linda Thompson's name is not going to be mentioned. Ginger Alden's name is not going to be mentioned. After Priscilla, his story is going to be this awful, depression-laden, terrible I'm lost without you story, which really wasn't true. He was very happy with Linda, but knowing that Priscilla's involved, I think they're going to cut it off at 68. They're going to cut it off at like 73, because apparently Priscilla told him he was leaving him. I think it was like New Year's Eve 71 or 72. So they'll probably cut it off like right there, because Elvis's life doesn't matter after Priscilla's gone, according to her.
A lot of people actually accuse EPE of saying that Elvis's career finished in 1973. They never go past 1973.
And like, at the same time, it's God, I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Yeah, but like you saw it in The Searcher, like like part one was really good, and they just the whole part one was fantastic. Part two, like they said, Elvis's crowning moment in the Loa, and then they dropped it all the way down. And this was, Priscilla's a big part, and I'm not knocking her, and she's great. But at the same time, like after like they said, like they just dropped it down, they went and they showed footage, which was awesome. But at the same time, they said, well, Elvis's life was a roller coaster, tours, and then I believe Priscilla said his shows were all the same and that he didn't make sense on stage and that his songs weren't projected right. And that's not true at all. Like I watch him like with Linda and stuff like that, and he was really happy, you know what I mean?
Right.
And and with Joyce Bova and stuff like that. So but it's like it just seems like after, like it seems like when Elvis Presley Enterprise wants to put out something, they just make it sound like Elvis died right after Aloha. And there's so much more like after that, like the stack sessions, the Jungle Room sessions, the concert tours, everything that he did in just 4 years from 73 to 77 are fantastic. But it seems like they don't want to put that out. So it's really sad.
Yeah, Robert says, Steve, asked Matt about the letter to Red West. You mean the phone call? Maybe was there a letter?
There's a little bit of story there. I was on, I don't know if you guys know the Spa guy. He's a fantastic guy, such a good guy. I love Billy. And I was on his channel, I think it was like 2018. It was a long time ago. And he did a little story about me. I wrote a letter to Red West saying how much I love him. And hey, just like we all do, the Memphis Mafia guys, we want to get together with the guys and say, we appreciate you. Even though Red was, a little bit of a traitor towards the end. But I wrote a letter to Red and I sent it and he died the next day.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think the perfect point to end the movie at would be Unchained Melody in Rapid City. And at the end of the song, right at that, screen goes black. After this tour, Elvis died. 2 months later, he was 42. That's it. No need to show the actual end. It goes better without saying it, but ended on a high note.
Yeah.
But then again, at the same time, though, a lot of people get misconstrued of what happened at the very end. Like everybody, like people would always laugh at me in school and say, "Oh, well, Elvis, the joke." But the thing is that that's not even what happened. And the problem is I feel like people, it has been so exploited that way that it's so wrong, and people just believe what they hear off a news magazine that some half-star magazine. But at the same time, people got to realize what did happen at the end is completely different than what happened in a newspaper. So and it's just sad because I feel like that if Elvis was still here today, I feel like the world would be a completely different place, and I think it would.
Yeah, I mean, I've said to you before, Jake. I think that this world is definitely better for Elvis Presley being in it. I mean, I'm lost for words really, but you know what I'm trying to say. I mean, without him, I think we wouldn't have had the enjoyment we have out of his music. So many millions of people still get enjoyment. We're still talking about him today. We're still commemorating his birthday. There's people still going to his home. 600,000 people, without the pandemic, 600,000 people a year go to see his house. I don't know anybody else's house that is visited by that many people. The White House is the only place that is visited by more people.
Well, the White House.
I was just going to say as well, my favorite biopic is This Is Elvis. Believe it or not.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to portray 50s Elvis in that movie.
Because that was Elvis. I know there was a few pieces where they were stand-ins, things like that, but it was 90% Elvis. And that, actually, Matt was saying there about Unchained Melody. The end of that, they use Unchained Melody near the end, but they show the funeral and everything like that. And I think you're probably right, Matt. They shouldn't show something like the funeral. They should leave it on a high note.
Maybe they could end it at Unchained Melody in the racquetball court on August 15th, the night of August 15th. Yeah. That would be cool. The Blue Eyes Crying in the room, Unchained Melody, the racquetball room's reverberating, and then the screen goes black. And that's it.
Like gives me chills.
Yeah, maybe we should just make our own movie.
That's a good idea. My dream is to
Look at
the movie. So
yeah, look at this is sorry, Elvis the movie that Kurt Russell did. That ended in 1969.
right.
You know, they just him doing the Vegas comeback, even though he was wearing a suit from
And the island suit.
1972.
Not the island
Yeah,
suit.
that
Comet suit.
that suit was actually, I believe, Vernon actually let because at the time Vernon was still alive. He wasn't alive when the movie was produced, but he had Kurt Russell come over to Graceland and try on a few jumpsuits, and he picked the Comet suit. And I heard that it was supposedly never returned to Graceland again, and I believe it's in private collection now. And also, Kurt Russell wasn't the one singing in that movie; it was actually Ronnie McDowell. So
That's right.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool to know that. So.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mary, and then I'll ask Matt and Jake. Mary, did you watch the birthday proclamation from Graceland?
I did. I watched it on the Facebook Live in the morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it was very brief, wasn't it? It was very, very short
It was
this year.
very short. Yeah, I was surprised.
I thought Joel Weinshanker was very emotional, very, very emotional.
Yeah.
When he was talking about Ben. So it was quite a sad moment that, but yeah, it was nowhere near as long as it normally was, because it normally goes on for about half an hour or 40 minutes. But the cake was lovely. It was the TV room cake, I think, wasn't it?
Cake. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. Did you watch it, Matt?
I did not.
Right.
I was driving all day that day. I had a gig up in the north side of the States. We were driving the whole day.
Right. You can watch it on catch up, I believe. But like I say, it was only 14 minutes long anyway. Blink it, you'd miss it, you know.
Yeah, I did see pictures of the cake though. That cake was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think they take it over to the guest house and cut it up and give it to fans, I believe, which is a nice idea. And Jake, did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched that. I like the cake. I like how they did the cake this year. I think next year would be cool, like if they did like a jungle room cake. But I think it was really short. I think they could have put it out longer. But you know, Dean Z, I think, sang "Happy Birthday" to him, and then I think he did like an hour-long show. So but with everything going on, right now, we might have Elvis Week 2021 in August, where it'll look more like it's done in previous years, and probably next birthday it'll be like huge. You know what I mean? Because this year there was like, I don't even know how many people were there, but I did watch Bog Guy sing "Happy Birthday" to Elvis, so that was pretty cool. And all the people in front of the gate at midnight, so that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, the weather wasn't too good. It seemed to be quite wet and windy at the time. So, but yeah, there was a good turnout, I believe, a good turnout. Okay, so folks, it's really been great speaking to you. It really has. Would you believe we've been speaking for nearly an hour, and it only seems like 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Now you've made an awful lot of sense, all three of you. You made more sense than I would ever make. I can tell you that. And I'd love to actually have you all on again. Maybe you'd like to come back and talk about another subject, or we could all talk about the new biopic when it comes out, what we thought of it.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I love doing stuff like this. So anytime you want.
Yeah, well, thanks, Matt. And don't forget, people, to check out all their channels. And the three of you really are a credit to Elvis's fandom. You really are. And we have a little thing to do now, which is the Elvis Fan of the Month. Now, the three of you can't really join in. Actually, no, you can. There's no reason why you can't join in. Well, you don't know the answers. So actually, there they are. Okay, so I'll say goodbye, folks, and thanks again for spending time talking to me.
TCB.
Take it easy, folks. TCB.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was Matt Stone, Mary Patricia, and Jake Bailiff, and I think you'll agree that they're a credit to Elvis's fandom. They really are. They really are nice people, and it's refreshing to see them speaking so passionately and being so passionate about Elvis. So, guys, I see Ruth Daniel is in the house, and Ruth is actually in the lead at the moment. I know it's only the first week, but she's in the lead. So, Marcia says, let's have a look at some comments, will we, about these guys. Steve, that was great. I love that. Cute young people. Okay. Right. Question 1. Okay. January the 10th, fan of the month quiz, week 2 of 5. Okay. So it's going to be the first person's name IC on the comments with the correct answer. There was a little bit of doubt last week about people saying that they thought they were the first. Thanks, Matt. Thanks. Great. Saying they thought their name was first, but it might be the way that it comes through on my computer. So there's nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. All I can say is the first person's name I see that gets the correct answer is the person that gets put down against that question, if that makes sense. So without further ado, first of 6 questions. And the first question is, what was Elvis's 7th movie? What was Elvis's 7th movie? Big drum roll. Who is going to get it right first? There's NYC Girl. Hi, NYC Girl. What was Elvis's 7th movie? Now you're going to have to kind of count on your fingers. Love Me Tender. Jake, no. Jake, you surprised me. It wasn't Blue Hawaii. And a lot of people are saying Blue Hawaii and Follow That Dream. Crikey, I hope I've got this right. Okay, Wild in the Country. Who said Wild in the Country? Vincenzo. Okay. Vincenzo. Okay. It was Wild in the Country. John's got it right. Alina says Girls, Girls, Girls. Randy says okay. Awesome interviews. Keep his music and memory alive. Yeah, Jackie. Yeah. They were really nice people, weren't they? Mary was lovely. Jake is great. Matt, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Okay. David says Wild in the Country. Yeah. Okay. Ruth Daniel says Wild in the Country. Unfortunately, Vincenzo got there first. Okay. So the next question, question 2 of 6. What was his character's name in that movie, Wild in the Country? What was Elvis's character's name in Wild in the Country? Who is going to be first? Everybody's furiously typing now. Don't forget, there is a monthly prize at the end of this month. No, it wasn't Toby. Toby was Follow That Dream. I need his full name. What was his character's name in that movie? Okay. Randy, you're close. Vincenzo got it again. You are really flying. Yes, Glenn Tyler. That's 2 in a row for Vincenzo. That's amazing. Come on, guys. Don't let Vincenzo get it all right tonight. Yeah. A lot of people now saying Glenn Tyler. Unfortunately, it was Vincenzo. Well, I don't mean unfortunately for Vincenzo, but unfortunately for everybody else, Vincenzo got it right. Okay. Here's a quick one for you. Question number 3. Who directed Elvis, That's the Way It Is? And I want his full name. Who directed Elvis, That's the Way It Is? Yeah, Greg, you did say Glenn, but unfortunately I wanted Glenn Tyler. Sorry. But you're right, you were first, yeah. Okay, Leanne says Steve Bendit. Nope. Okay. Vincent, this is unbelievable. Vincenzo got it again. Yeah, it was Dennis Sanders. Dennis Sanders. Yeah. Okay. And on the same sort of vein, when was it released? What month and what year was That's the Way It Is released? Somebody needs to beat Vincenzo, or else Vincenzo's... Jake, you got it right. It was November 1970. I was just about to say, Um, somebody will need to get in before Vincenzo, or it'll be a whitewash nearly. Vincenzo got the first three right. You definitely, yeah, and Vincenzo's got it right there, but he just wasn't first. Somebody was going to start saying that's a fix. Vincenzo, you've told Vincenzo the answers. No, I haven't. Okay. Now here's another good one. Okay. When what was the opening song when Elvis appeared at Madison Square Garden in June 1972? What did he open with? What was the first song that he sang live in concert at Madison Square Garden? I was saying earlier on, I don't know whether everybody caught that, but it was, it's the 65th anniversary. Chris Burris, That's All Right. It's quite correct, Chris. Yeah. I was saying Robert Reed's got it right. Greg Ropp, no, not CC Ryder. Banjo Paul, no, not CC Ryder. Heartbreak Hotel, no. But it is the 65th anniversary of him recording Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah, another one coming in right. Marie's the name. That's all right. Yeah. Jake loved the show, says Doug Dickerson. Yeah. They were fantastic. Those three were just fantastic. In fact, I definitely, if they'll come back on again, I will have them back on because they just talked so much sense. They were just so intelligent with their resumes of all the questions that I asked. Matt, brilliant. Jake, as we know, brilliant. Mary, lovely. Priscilla can only tell the truth. She knows about Elvis after their divorce, is what he told her. They met up often and Elvis phoned her often. Okay. Should have been filmed full show, Steve. Yeah. Yeah, they should have filmed professionally. They should have filmed Madison Square Garden. All we have is Prince from Another Planet. Okay, and the sixth and final question for this week. Okay. We actually spoke about this earlier on when I was speaking to Jake and Mary and Matt. And basically, the question is, what year was the documentary This Is Elvis released? Thanks, Marcia. Yes, it was fun talking to them. Who is going to get the right answer? Hey, Vincenzo, 90. Oh, hang on. Wait a second. Roseanne Dolby. Roseanne just beat, if I scroll back, a lot of people have said, yeah. Oh, hang on a second. Did I miss this? I beg your pardon. Her W, 1981. Just got in just before Jake. I beg your pardon. Sorry, Roseanne. I'm sorry. I'm going to take it away from you. I beg your pardon. That was me being a bit tardy there. Yes, it was actually April the 4th, 1981 was when it was released. So this week, by an almost landslide, is Vincenzo. Now, ordinarily, if it was fan of the week, he would get it, but this is fan of the month. So he's done a lot of damage, though. There, people really need to be a lot quicker on the keyboard, or he'll do a landslide. So I'll file that away, and we'll total it up at the end of the month. And I'd like to say one more time, thank you very, very much to Mary. Thanks to Matt. And thanks to Jake for joining me today. I think you'll agree that they spoke an awful lot of sense, and they did themselves proud, and they also did the youth of today proud by the way they conducted themselves and spoke about Elvis. And of course, I'm biased, but they have great taste in music. They really do. Goes without saying. So, without further ado, I'm going to say to everybody, thank you very, very much for joining me tonight. And until we meet again next week, please look after yourselves and stay safe. And good night.